Mike Langan.
Here.
Charlie McPherson is absent. Brett Hayes.
Here. I move to approve the absence of Charlie McPherson. He had a family obligation. I'm looking for a second.
I'd second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
Okay. Mike Langan.
Yes.
Brett Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barr.
Yes.
Leanna Burr.
Yes.
Jesse June.
Yes.
Mike Langan. Sorry.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is to recognize the Nebraska Open Meeting Act, and we will be following that as we proceed through our meeting. So if you would stand.
My name's Colin Cash. I'm one of the owners of Built Right Homes. Built Right Homes has been in business for over a decade. We do 300 to 400 full roofing, siding, gutters, window projects every single year. We've worked on over 2,500 homes in the last 10 years, from neighborhoods after Hurricane Katrina to you name it. We want to get people's homes not just back in shape, but in better condition than they were so they can get back to living their lives. We have a very high standard for quality that we're going for, and we don't want to offer any product that we can't just knock the socks off of our customers, right? We absolutely want to exceed everybody's expectations, and so we only use the absolute best materials that you can get. The best shingles, the best siding, gutters. We want our products to stand the test of time. I would put my company against any other company out there.
Our next agenda item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next agenda item is the board will accept public comments. Hearing none, we'll move to the next agenda item, which is our student board report. And Quinn is at track practice and he is excused until then, and he plans to attend our meeting.
He'll be here when he
And
comes in.
we can go back to that agenda item. So our next agenda item is a NOR presentation. We have a handout
I did.
for
I
that,
did.
so it's in your files.
They're good.
Okay, they're good. Hello, I'm Tracy Fisher, ninth grade physical science teacher at Cook High School. I think I know most of you guys know me, but I'm just here to request approval from the school board for our NOR trip in the summer of 2027. Just a little overview of it. I'm seeking approval from the school board administration to organize a marine biology eco tour to Roatan, Honduras in the summer of 2027 for about 12 to 22 students. I currently have about 31 actively involved in NOR, doing fundraising, attending meetings. So that number, it really just depends on how much money they raise so that they have the funds that they need. This educational trip is hosted by Green Adventures Eco Tours and Expeditions and will provide our students with an exceptional opportunity to engage in hands-on marine biology research, conservation efforts, and cultural immersion in one of the world's most biological diverse marine environments. The dates are, haven't really set them because it depends on airfare and a few other things through Green Adventures, but the dates she threw out at me were June 19th to the 26th or the 26th through July 3rd. I told her my preference was July 19th to the 26th since I'm married to a farmer. But if you don't get any rain, that's not going to matter anyway, so we just got waiting on. The location is the Roatan Institute of Marine Sciences, RIMS, which is adjacent to Anthony Keys Dive Resort. I took kids a couple, I guess last summer. I had 12 kids. We stayed on a beach with no air conditioning, lots of bugs. And this is actually in air-conditioned rooms. 3 to 6 students per room. And they provide 3 meals per day, so that's kind of nice, because the other one, the meals were cooked on the beach. So you can just about imagine. This will be kind of at the resort. The estimated cost is $4,045 per student for the snorkeling package, and then if they want to scuba dive, it's $130 extra. This does include our airfare of $950 and $50 booking fee per person. So in that is the airfare, of course, understanding that there can be right. And I do encourage the kids to get scuba dive certified, and so I have told all them that that's about $500 extra. And I have Richard Reichert out of Denny County Stratton that has been helping me with that. And we had anybody that wanted to last time got scuba dive certified. And what's nice about that is they can take it for the rest of their life with them. So when they get married or go on college trips or have a family, they can go scuba diving. So I like to give them that opportunity. Some educational highlights of this trip, and I really am excited about this one. I did enjoy the Baja, but I think this one gives the kids a deeper opportunity for research. But marine biology research students will participate in coral reef ecology lectures, species identification classes, and hands-on research projects including coral restoration and reef fish surveys. They will spend time with the conservation people down there, so they are going to engage in coral nursery restoration and learn about threats to coral reefs and sustainable conservation practices. Marine mammal interaction students are going to be able to meet and swim with dolphins, learning about their behavior and training programs. And then the cultural, students will explore local towns, visit animal sanctuaries, and experience Rotan's vibrant culture through activities like ziplining and island fiesta and interactions with Garifuna dancers. The objectives do align with the next generation science standards, and those are kind of listed there for you. As far as additional information, it talks a little bit about the insurance. Post-departure travel insurance is included. Scuba divers are required to purchase separate dive accident insurance, and then travel requirements, all participants must have passports valid. So last time I got them all to get the passports, which again is an experience in itself. I encourage them to take out travel insurance, but it's not required. Chaperones for this, it's the first teacher is free with 10 paying students, and 2 teachers are free with 14 paying students. And the proposed itinerary highlights are listed there. So it's an 8-day educational trip here. Day 1 arriving, and then day 2 we do a lot of snorkeling, scuba. Day 3 we're going to do some animal care facility tours and do a fish survey. Day 4 mangrove and seagrass exploration, dolphin lecture, and coral reef threats. Day 5 is a little bit fun, involved some zip lining, some cultural experiences, and island fiesta. Day 6, coral restoration training, and then they get to do some night snorkeling or diving. And day 7, they get to swim with the dolphins and visit the iguana farm, monkey and sloth, hang out in the local town excursion. And then day 8, they do present a final reef survey and departure. This trip will provide students with the unique opportunity to explore marine biology in a living laboratory. It will develop scientific research skills and gain a deeper understanding of conservation and cultural diversity. It does align with the educational standards and fosters teamwork, communication, and environmental stewardship. I want to thank you for considering this exciting opportunity to enrich our students' education and provide them with a transformative learning experience. The lady that actually created this Rotan Honduras one through Green Adventures was one of our tour guides at the Baja. And so she has put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this one. And not knocking the Baja one in any way, but just visiting with her in that 6 days that I got to sit in the sweat with her. I think this one, they are going to do a lot more research with it. They're going to do a lot more presentations than they actually did down the Baja. That was probably the one thing I was a little bit disappointed on the Baja. And after talking to Kathy Jones, she was kind of surprised that they didn't actually have to present their paper to everybody, not just to me. So this one has me, I think, more excited for them just because it's got way more research involved in different areas than just the ocean. So the coral reef is kind of a huge thing right now. So anyway, any questions you might have for me?
That's a pretty safe. Everybody says Honduras, but it's Roatan is really safe. I've been there like 3 times, and it's just beautiful, safe. You don't have anything really to worry about. There's lots of. I mean, it's a very tropical place.
I know Tara Short is the CEO of the company, and a couple of times I've been on the phone with her just because you think Honduras and you do it first, kind of Not really sure that's where I wanted to go, but after visiting with her, she said exactly the same thing.
Oh, it's
She reassured me. She said the toughest part of this trip will be the connecting flight. And she said I won't get to have a direct flight. I will have to have a connecting flight. Not that they were a challenge in the airport at all, or cities, but just that knowing that you could lose luggage or something might not go where we are. So.
For 31 fundraising, is there a cap on the number of kids that you can take, or what does that look like?
Hurt me personally?
Well, you've got 12 to 22 students in the write-up, but you said you've got 31 fundraisers.
I got
so just-
31 actively involved into the meetings and fundraising. But like the freshman class, I've already talked to them a lot and I told them that they can go in 2029. They don't have to go in 2027. They have that opportunity to still go in 2029. It'll be the summer right after they graduate. So, and we've done that in the past with this trip. And so my focus is more of the juniors and the sophomores right now, making sure that if it's truly something they want to go, then I have about 6 freshmen that are really, really good. This is their
thing.
This is their thing. They're very interested in it. So my cap for me would be I'd like to only not have any more than 18. But you can have up to 25, according to Green Adventures at one time. Richard Reichert, the gentleman who is getting my students scuba certified, he's been down there several times, and he has developed a huge interest in this program, and he would love to see Denton County Stratton be able to take some students, and that's something that I've given him the information, and he would like to even try to coordinate it that his group is down there at the same time, which to me would be great because it would be a male person there also. And on this trip, I have a ton of boys. I have about 8 of them that are actively involved in fundraising and that are putting down they want to go in 2027. So I think it would be nice if he can get this young lady. There's 2 students up at Denton County Stratton that he says are interested in it, and they're just doing their own fundraising, and that they would like to correlate their timings with us, which I know Cambridge used to do with Kathy Jones when she took my kids, so that would be great because it would give us another adult and plus just a male.
I think it's great that you've gotten that many that want to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
The key to it is the fundraising. Now, I mean, we sold over 1,000 pies. No, we sold 864. Am I right? 864 pies last fall, and so we're currently selling pies again. They wanted to do the cinnamon rolls like we did last spring, but unfortunately, a week before Easter, my daughter has decided to get married in 3 states away. So making frosting for 800 dozen cinnamon rolls didn't quite fit the agenda.
We got pies the last time, and we've already been hit up by a bunch of pies this time by 2. So they're already going.
The pies were easy because they just got delivered and I handed them off. I didn't have to make frosting.
Sure.
Yeah.
We also are going to clean headstones again because we found that as a group to be very rewarding. Actually,
Sure.
It's the kids to listen to them just talk about how peaceful it was. I know it sounds strange, but to sit at the cemetery and clean headstones, they really found it to be peaceful, and they found it intriguing to read the back of some of the headstones as far as their military background behind them, or that we cleaned a couple of babies' headstones, and they were like, well, "What do you think?" And I really think they connected there. So we are going to clean headstones, and then we're going to run Felling Field's concession stand for the 3rd summer. So those are our 3 big fundraisers that we actively have going for this group, and then we did some concession stands through the school.
Will you come up here and do like diving classes at the YMCA, and then you could just do your open water somewhere?
Yeah,
like a sand pit or.
We did it at the YMCA, and then we went to the little lake just west of Hershey, and we did our open dive there. And it was a little chilly because we were really squeezing it in last year to get everybody scuba dive certified, so it was still kind of chilly in May. But this time, Richard and I both agree that we're going to try to get it as much done as we can in July and August of this summer, or even maybe September, so it's not quite as chilly because it turned me off right away. And I did really good till then, and then I was like, I'm
Put your
done.
head underwater.
So I didn't get it finished, so I'd like to get it finished myself, because I think it's be something fun to
That's pretty
have,
cool.
to do.
I think it's worth noting that a year ago when they brought this trip back, they were at 0. They started at 0 and got there in 1 year, a little less than a year. And now it's 2 years, and they had some left over.
Right,
So the basis in, just because I know the basis in the activity account is in fairly good shape with still
yeah.
16 months to go.
I was blessed with, Kathy Jones had left, or I should say Kate Meisenberg, I think, left some money in there because they didn't get to go. So I started with $7,000, which helped me get Filled up and going for the supplies to run the concession stand. But I think last time I checked, we're currently sitting about $33,000. So we have a ways to go by all means.
Yeah.
But they are actively working hard to get there, so.
Exciting.
Yeah,
It's
I
very
think that's great. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Thank you, Ms. Fisher.
Can I send it to you? Yeah. That's fine, I can show you, yeah.
So we will discuss this again in new business later on in the meeting.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is our FFA state qualifiers. If you would introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Jason Law, and
I'm Grayson Oxwell.
yeah,
So you know us, but
yeah, we've been here before. This is obviously not all of our state qualifiers. We have about 32 additional seats, but
I thought you guys were shouldering the American.
No.
It's up to us.
no,
we couldn't do it without our team.
yeah,
Definitely at that time. For the big one.
yeah, we got 34 kids going down to Lincoln, and last weekend of this month. So.
2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yep. So we go down there on Tuesday, hang out there, compete, try to bring home some hardware back west, and then Friday we come back. Sometimes we get back at 6, and sometimes we get back at 11.
Hopefully it's a little bit earlier this year. The state degrees usually hold us up, but they moved them up to Wednesday with state speech in the same weekend, so.
And yeah, we have quite a few kids getting their state degrees this year actually, and so obviously you get your grand hand degree, or you get your discovery in 8th grade. So some of the kids in this school are getting their discoveries, and then you get your green hand as a freshman.
And you get your chapter as a junior, and then your state as a senior. But with that, I mean, that's part of the 3-circle model, the SAE, the classroom, and then actually the FA organization.
Yep.
So I have a couple SAEs. I know you had 1 or 2.
Yeah, I got 2. I had one with Mrs. Fisher's husband, and then one out at Heartland Home.
So, I mean, the SAE part's really always been really big, especially for me and him. I had a placement one, which is basically being employed somewhere, and then an entrepreneurship one where I'm running my own business, which that might be a pain. And Ms. Oxwell about killed me this year for not getting my state star in time. But we got it done, that, and made it all, work. And then, but balancing that in between contests and basic chapter meetings, and also whether you're an athlete, but just being a student as well. It's always been really busy.
I think it's really valuable for those freshmen who don't have a lot of public speaking skills and business skills to go out there. Even if it's working at bomb guard, like that's still huge. Like you go talk to someone, you go talk what they need, and you learn how to negotiate and find what they need and satisfy your customer. That's really big in today's society. I feel like that's starting to be a lost art of just human contact in the business world. So the more you can get out there and talk in the community is really good for those young kids coming up through FFA.
Same with like contests and stuff. Livestock evaluation's been a big one. I'm going to college for it. It's paid for the first 2 years of my college, and with FFA, like this gives you more time to practice that. But then employment skills, I might not have made the team. Like lost the runoff by 1 point, but I still had 36 interviews I sat through and interviewed 36 different times with 36 different people. Like just with that, you gain the confidence of, hey, here's who I am, here's what I know, here's what I bring to the table. So whether you're sitting in a scholarship interview or a job interview, like you have that skill of, hey, this is what I can do. And you're not just sitting there, so what do I do today? Like I think that's been really big, especially like sitting in our classes. They'll ask, my ag law class at the college, she'll ask a question, everybody just kind of sits there and looks around and it's like, somebody gonna answer? So, I mean, I think the confidence of being able to speak up, speak your mind, even if you're wrong or not completely right, is still extremely valuable.
We got a big senior class this year. We got a big senior class in our officer team. That's gonna hurt to lose. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but it's gonna hurt to lose so many officers. We got young kids coming up through the ranks. We got 13 kids that went to a jacket ceremony that some of you attended. Those are gonna be some sharp kids. Once they get their teeth marked a little bit, they'll learn and they'll be really good for our FFA chapter. And here in a year, they'll probably be sitting in these seats. So it's good to see them getting some, not arrogance, but confidence in their step. I'm watching them come in as 8th graders, not knowing a whole lot. They're going to the CDEs and they're going to LDs up in Curtis, and they're getting the experience that we once needed.
We needed it bad. I mean, many of our friends, like, that first year to nationals was rough for all of us. We got on.
Some of us especially.
Sorry, she'll cry plenty when we leave. But like that trip to nationals, we got on the bus with a bunch of kids that we didn't know. I learned how to make friends by the time we finally got to Indianapolis without the bus stopping. So, I mean, that's another part. Like, you learn to talk to adults, but also your peers with confidence and being yourself.
Got any questions?
I love to hear free school. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really neat deal.
Good for you.
Yes, sir.
You guys speak very well, so.
I like it.
What are you competing at state?
I'm competing in vet science, livestock evaluation, and livestock management.
I'm doing livestock management and poultry management.
And you guys will have the opportunity to qualify for the national convention.
Correct,
right,
yeah.
based on
So-
what we do.
Both of us, like, if we were to win the state contest, we were both on the team that won dairy evaluation a couple years ago. So if we win another contest, be the same thing. We'd get back in the bus in August or on the plane or wherever we're at, going to Indianapolis again to compete and represent the state of Nebraska. So.
Very good.
Yeah, they did an amazing job. I had a chance to go to their jacket ceremony, and the officers are a very impressive group, have done an amazing job, and you guys have done an amazing job for leadership. Loved seeing 13 freshmen get their jackets. That was quite impressive.
That's just the ones that gave the creed. There's
Yeah, there's a bunch of others that are either still borrowing an old jacket from a past member, or they're just gonna buy their own because they didn't have the time or whatever to memorize the creed to give it to a set of people to earn it with the chapter paying for it. So
It was a neat experience, and I thank you for doing that and allowing me to come. I was very impressed.
well, we hope to see you back at the banquet.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a show. She might need a box of tissues, but we,
That one gets
Oh, no,
hurts a
too.
little more.
You gotta tell me before that part starts. It makes me cry.
You guys are very impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, you guys.
Thank you. Hold on, boys. No, yes.
Grayson Knoxville.
Next on the agenda is approval of consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes and financials.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Go ahead.
Somebody second that?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Gross?
Brad Hayes,
Yes.
Scott Bark,
Yes.
Amanda Burr,
Yes.
Jesse Juniman.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is the triannual wellness meeting recap.
I'll kick this in. So, schools are required by federal law to conduct a triannual wellness assessment and progress report through our wellness committee and our wellness division. And we hold we hold meetings quarterly through our school wellness committee. Mr. Bender in this room is on that with me as well. This is a big meeting that we pull everybody together and we go through our complete wellness assessment and progress report. And so on February 18th, we did that. That included parents, Scott as a school board member, administrators, teachers, and students. And the wellness portion of that was really just evaluating and looking at our wellness policy and procedures and everything that we have in place. We did, when we redid all of our policy manuals in 2024, adopted a new wellness policy. It was very little change from the previous one. It was more legal jargon from the lawyers. To recap through that meeting, we basically took the approved assessment tool from the Alliance for a Healthier Generation, and we went through the 10-step checklist and identified our strengths within our district, and then what needed progress. Strengths was leadership and governance of the policy and oversight with school level compliance. The other strengths were nutritional standards. The district is fully compliant with the USDA Smart Snack standards for food and beverages sold on the campus during the day. We continue to maintain high participation rates in the school lunch and breakfast programs, and our infrastructure, every school building has wellness, a wellness coordinator works to oversee the implementation. So, some things that progress towards our wellness goals, we listed 3 primary goals, and that is nutrition education. These are things that we had previously done. That was all met. We've integrated into our K-12 curriculum healthy choices. That's constantly being promoted via cafeteria signage. Physical activity, we met those daily recess and PE for all elementary students, and PE and athletics for all middle school, high school students. And then staff wellness, professional development included segments on student mental health, physical wellness. We really do a good job promoting staff wellness. We're at least 2 or 3 times a year having staff wellness competitions and promoting healthy challenges out there. So some things we noted, some opportunities for improvement in the physical education would be adding Nebraska standards PE rubrics to provide quantifiable metrics. We have all those standards in place, but incorporating those, something a little bit easier for us to get some metrics to evaluate ourselves. An evaluation tool moving from recommending the CDC School Health Index to adopting as a required annual tool, and then some incentives, extending our policy language to have rules regarding food-based rewards or incentives for students. We need to make some tweaks on that. So the next steps is the board to review those at this meeting. So Scott, I'll let you chime in. So
Yeah, so it was, as a board member and a parent and someone who's married to a staff member, I had 3 unique opportunities to look at it in a different way. I thought it was great to bring in the kids. So there were kids at every level. There was high school, there were junior high, there were elementary kids, and there was feedback from all 3 of those different segments to talk about what they liked, what they didn't like, what they'd like to see more of, and that was great to have them give the feedback or input. The other piece of it too is, obviously you don't take it lightly, it's triangle, right? Obviously it's every so many, 3 years, but it's great to see a group of staff from the district sit around the table and say, what can we do across the board to help keep people healthy, right? Well, I said being married to a nurse, obviously that's a topic of conversation. You're laughing, you're chuckling, but right? That's a topic of conversation at bar grounds a lot. So I appreciated the work that everybody put into it. It was great to get to see it again from 3 very unique perspectives. So, and it was, I don't know, gosh, how long were we here? It was
over an hour.
It was an hour and a half, maybe. So, very thorough.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to the next agenda item, which is the recap of the Food Service Advisory Committee meeting.
So for us, this meeting really was 2 folds into one, jammed into that hour and a half, say. The one portion of it was the wellness, and the other was we wanted to hear from our kids on the Food Service Advisory Committee, advising back to OPA how we feel like food services is going. we constantly send out, surveys to parents and to kids, and we can talk to staff, but what do the kids truly feel? And I think when it comes to school food, that's a critical juncture. And it was great because we had from Central Elementary through high school, there was about 16 kids in here, and they didn't hold back. They let you know what they liked and what they didn't like. So Craig, I understand when you say you got your hands full at home. Emery, she let us know what she liked and didn't like. So we heard a lot about chicken patties and chicken nuggets and what was cold and what was hot.
Triangle pizza, square
Triangle
pizza.
That was definitely a topic too.
But it was good because we got the what their fan favorites are, what areas needed improved, food quality. Some of the complaints from especially some of the elementary kids was we just don't get, the high school and junior high gets cookies. We just don't get those things. Well, that's USDA. We can't control that. And so we got some menu wants like mac and cheese and really some things, some old time favorites like they just wanted some chicken noodles every once in a while, or they wanted a Philly sandwich or French dips. And so it was good. And they talked about food quality. One of those was regarding temperatures of some of the things. Most importantly, their French fries. They want them hot. They don't want cold French fries. And the high school kids that came over and ate talked a lot about, they're kind of the last chance. High school's 1 to 1:30, and the OPA staff by then have fed, 700, 800 K-8 kids, and the high school kids that eat last, and so they had their concerns about, bars not being filled and ran out of condiments and things, and so hopefully those items were taken to heart. I know they were. OPA said they were going to focus on those, and so we talked about inventory management, recipe modifications, and then we talked a lot about promoting the app where parents and kids can get on and know exactly what's available every day. So that was a big portion of that meeting as well.
I think the chicken noodle was a bender, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
The walking tacos are great, but when it's all chips and there ain't enough toppings, and all I got at the end is chips, they want it fixed. That's gonna be fixed.
One thing at that meeting, I appreciate OPA, actually the next week, they kind of came back to me and said, hey, we changed this, we were able to add more fries, and some of the things that they brought up, and I already made some of those changes, so there's not too many meetings where you go and changes are made, and that was kind of nice. It's good.
So then I just would end up back on the advisory committee and the wellness recap. So now by June 30th, being the designee for Mr. Nordbart for the wellness, we have a lot of official documents that have to get declared to the states and approved. And so there's some work to get all of our wellness things and get everything up and running and working the way it's appropriate and documented. And then we have to share all that and get it approved by end meeting. So we needed all that on record tonight. So, okay.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we're going to move back to you, Quinn, for the student board member report.
I hope everyone's doing well and getting ready for what I hope is the start of the spring weather. Last week, the students had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off for spring break and also parent-teacher conferences. Although winter sports seasons have come to an end the past 2 weeks, we have already transitioned into the spring sports season, like girls tennis, boys golf, and also track and field. These practices started last week, and from what I've heard from people, they are pretty excited to start the sport. Some other things going on in the school and also clubs. Last week, as you already know, FFA had district event at Eustis. Also on Tuesday, the high school took a few students up to Inter High Days at North Platte. Inter High Days is a competition between an assortment of schools in the area, and they all compete against each other in different fields of study. The competition can be anything from creative writing to even building construction. FDLA and a few other clubs in the school had Read Across America last Monday. Read Across America is where the clubs go and read with the students at the elementary. The Quiz Bowl team got second at Southwest last Monday also. And finally, Math Club is having Math Magic tomorrow at the elementary St. Pat's and Central.
Nice. Any questions for Quinn?
Ask Quinn how he did it inter high day.
Quinn, how did you do it inter high day?
Our team got first in building and construction.
Nice. Very good. That's very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Next on the agenda is Facilities Committee report. I believe that's going to be Mr. Gross.
So Scott, who's the chair, Jesse and Brad, Mr. Norgard and myself met last week to go over some facility planning as we progress to the summer. Just some updates on some completed or near completion projects. YMCA parking lot is kind of at a standstill waiting on dirt work and weather. The weather's been nice, but we're going to have to finish some dirt work over there in and out of that construction project. Paulson's will finish wrapping that up. The other things are just, we talked about redoing the JAG classroom over Christmas break has been done. We had to re-secure the roof at the wrestling building, that's been done, and the first grade classroom's been updated at McCook Elementary. Projects in progress. The junior high HVAC front ends that is connecting our air handlers, which was completely kaput, has connected our air handlers back into our system, has been replaced. So that's phase one. That second phase, I'm actually meeting on Thursday with engineering controls, where they're going to talk to us about needing reheat coil valves for each classroom to complete the system. So that's a project that we're going to have to find out what it all encompasses. We're going to have to bid it out, and that's a future project. But in order to get the complete HVAC system of the junior high functioning properly, that's the next phase that is needed. I best say that that's when your hot water comes through the system and it starts on this end and it's all 80 degrees without reheat coils. When it gets down to this end, it may be to 60. So these guys over here are cooking and this end of the building is freezing without the reheat coils being replaced and brought into the front end system. And that's been going on for years. We function and adjust and do everything we can, but we were holding off on that expense until the bond, and so we're doing what we can and chunking it off as we go. Okay. Some upcoming projects for infrastructure. We do want to get one more classroom done at the elementary school. When we say we're doing classrooms at the elementary school, the first grade wing, which is the old North Ward, we're updating those classrooms one by one. We had an empty classroom this year, so we did one in the year. We'll move a teacher in there, open up another one, and continue to knock that out until we get the middle of that section updated. Okay. The junior high roof. Okay. Via the combined phase of insurance claims and things, and meeting with the programs committee, we're going to get a large chunk of that based off the back of an insurance claim. So instead of spreading that roof out over 3 years, what we could physically handle, because we're getting some money from AliCab through storm damage based in the district, we feel like it's in our best interest to get the roof done this summer. So having said that, and taking on the full scope of the junior high gym, the whole junior high roof, we're going to hold off on anything at Central. That'll be our roofing projects moving forward after the summer of 2026. Okay. Let me see. New gutter system at Central, which is also an insurance claim. We're waiting on final bidding from CT Construction. That involves removing all the fascia and going in and cutting all the old gutters out, replacing the gutters in the system, and then reattaching. So that's a pretty big endeavor that's taking the right company to be able to do that. So, moving on, Wyland Field, we've talked about this in this meeting before. The bleachers have all been removed on that southeast corner. We're waiting on Garrett Concrete to get in there and put new footings down and repair the washouts. Senior high steps We are, right when the school year's out, the senior high steps in back by the science rooms are crumbling. We held off because that's where we were going to attach the building with the bond. We can't keep repairing them anymore, and that's on the docket to be done. And then in the middle of this building, upstairs, right by the offices, our drinking fountains have all lost their ability to function. As you know, they're settling in the building. Pipes have been kinked. Water is not accessible. And so we can run PEX and we can run some PVC to get to all of those, but we've got some real concern with the structure right now. And so Mr. Norgard and I, not that we're construction experts by any means, but we took a look at it and we asked our maintenance department to put on hold until W Design has time to get up here and give us an engineering perspective on what we can do to re-engage our water fountains in the middle of the building. The problem's not going away. We knew that. We knew that when we went through 2 bonds, but we need to be able to offer business and get through it. So we're hopeful that W Design can talk to Mr. Wolford, and they will get up here and give us their best case scenario, what we can do to solidify that wall and get water back into those drinking wells.
And sewer.
And sewer, yeah. Because it's got to drain somewhere. So that's kind of ongoing phase of things that are happening, okay? Summer improvement projects. The senior high gym, at a previous meeting, you guys approved the bid to put new bleachers in.
Junior high.
Except, well, I'm sorry, what did I say, senior high? Jeez, I'm sorry. Junior high gym, you guys had approved the bid with Heartland Seating for new bleachers this summer. Last week, the guys actually ripped out half of the gym, the old wooden bleachers on the floor, in preparation of gym prep finishing. Will be here the 1st of May to sand the wood down to its original and repaint and give us new coatings on there. This is the last sanding on that gym floor that we can do. New wall mats have been ordered. Prime time has been secured to paint. And so we're going to get that gym as close to in good shape as we can. And it made no sense to redo the bleachers without fixing those other things that needed to be done. So the junior high gym is a point of summer work for us. At the central gym, we've already done the flooring. We already did the cafeteria tables a couple years ago. The last thing over there was wall mats and painting, and so we're finishing that project up as we can. Their wall mats are actually about 10 borrowed ones from other schools where the logos don't even match up. So we want to get to where we can have some pride in looking at that. And then our big project for our own maintenance guys internally is our senior high main hallway renovations, which will include drywall, ceiling, grid and tile, carpet and base, lighting. We're going to drywall the whole thing, tape and mud it, paint it, and get that main hallway up to looking like we did last year with the gym area.
It'll all be carpeted this
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Versus tile.
Yeah.
That should be different.
And so our goal is to get the whole, in a perfect world, we can get English hallway done. I think that might be biting off a little more than we can chew. So future is English hallway in 26, 27, and upstairs in 27, 28 calendar years, but just kind of keeping the move, we want to get the rest of that done. So food service equipment, I have to touch on this. Our food services equipment has, especially in this building, has gotten rather old. I don't want to say we were putting deferred maintenance to that. We were holding on to the bond as well. We have the funding set aside in our lunch funds. Food services is a separate account, and lunch funds can only go into there. A lot of those are federal dollars procured through free and reduced lunch. So we open up a whole new can of worms with how we have to do business because it's federal dollars. We've written a grant or a waiver for the last 5 years because we have more money in our lunch fund than we're allowed to have. And that was in anticipation if the bond passed for us to be able to use those dollars on new equipment over there. The bond failed, now we need to replace some equipment. And so we've already received a bid for $170,000. I'm procuring additional bids, and that is for at the junior high. We need 2 new ovens sets of ovens. We need 2 new steam tables, natural gas. We need a new reach-in cooler. Our garbage disposal is on its last leg. Our dishwashers is very old. And pizza slots, refrigerated veggie bars. Central cafeteria needs 2 electric 5-hole steam tables. And the elementary cafeteria needs a milk cooler and compartment tray. So all of that total, which doesn't sound like a lot of equipment, but it's $170,000. So we are procuring extra bids, and then we'll get our low bid we have to choose through federal guidelines, and we'll get all of that stuff replaced this summer for next school year. The things that are done at the junior high, I know we haven't, there's no talk or discussion of a bond at this stage, but they would all be able to move if that ever happened down the line, okay? Most of those things, the steam tables and things, Mr. Norgard and Mr. Haney bought when he first got here. So they probably, what is this, 16 years, so they're probably about a 15-year shelf life on some of these things. So, okay? Questions on that? We currently have right at $400,000 in our food service account. So this is going to knock that down, but it still keeps us at a comfortable threshold. I still will have to get a waiver because even reducing that money out of there is still above what we're allotted. And what that means for you guys on the board who don't understand is if we're above a certain dollar figure and we don't receive a waiver, then that means we could not charge for food, and we would have to pay for free and reduced lunch food until those accounts were expended down. And we need the money to be able to replace our cafeterias and our kitchen equipment. So that's why we built it up. Okay? Maintenance and transportation. We haven't bought a new mower in 4 years, and so we've got a 9-year-old mower and a 4-year-old mower of our main mowing summer. So we want to replace one of those. We're getting bids currently. And then kind of the updated state of our transportation. We feel like we're really good on activity vans and Suburbans. In 26-27, we do need to look at a replacement plan for another small vehicle, whether that's a minivan or a Traverse. We'll probably next school year need to be looking at a route bus, whether that's that most likely would be a used bus. We've just kind of decided that might be the right route to go for us, and potentially another work truck. And understand when we replace a work truck, we'd be going to like a 2015 and getting rid of the 1995. So that's what we are. We don't buy brand new things. And then the big one in 27-28, we've been setting money aside in depreciation. We will need to be thinking about an activity bus. Our last new purchase on our activity bus was 4 years ago, and we try to carry 3 activity buses, and it's going to be time to rotate. We have a 15 MCI, an 01 Van Hool, and a 98 MCI. So it's time to get that oldest MCI out of there, and excuse me, a Bluebird. Get that oldest Bluebird out of there.
How many miles do those have?
Well, the one that I traded in this last off winter was over 1 million. So
you get 3 years.
Yeah. And to buy a used bus, so like this year, there's a lot of 2015-16 MCIs with 350,000 miles on them. They're going to cost you about right at $400,000 a piece. So, but we got to have our kids on the road and safe things. So just planning.
That's down.
That's 27-28. So just planning. We know we got to be setting money aside to replace an activity bus. So, future concerns and projects, and these are special building dollars that we're going to be discussing as we move forward. The outdoor lighting at Wyland Field was installed in 1994, and so it's getting old. Them 4 poles and lights are getting old. We have had them a few years ago. I had them inspected, and they're okay. But the guys who said you better be getting a plan. Outdoor lighting poles don't last forever, so we know that ticket item, if we were to buy it right now, is about $350,000 for new lights at Wyland Field. So senior high plumbing, we've discussed that several times. It's a 1955 building, and the plumbing is what it is, and if we gotta make that building go 30, 40 more years, at some point that plumbing's gotta be dealt with. Senior high locker rooms were last updated in 2001, 2002, and they're getting awful dated in age compared to the rest of our building. The gym floor at McCook Elementary is something that we've always had on a bucket list, a wish list over here. When that building was built, it was put into tile, and the ability to be able to put that to an actual gym floor surface, both for the safety of our students, for help, for their classes, but also for another practice facility, is something down the line. The gym floor at Lift, the same thing. How many years ago did you guys buy that? 15, probably? Putting you on the spot, Mr.
Probably 14.
14 years. So we put a temporary mobile volleyball court in there. The sports court, that's what they use when they pop in for a volleyball game at different places, and that's what we utilize. So it's going to be due for an upgrade very soon. So, and then the last item on the list was the junior high industrial arts auditorium. At some point in the future, community discussions will need to take place. So then I would open up to you guys if we're all in the meeting, anything I missed.
I don't know that you missed anything.
Pretty thorough, actually.
That's great. It never stops, right? I mean, especially with facilities, there's always a lot of stuff going on.
Well, the frustrating part is you can make a list and think you got it all, and everything we talked about, and we went through kind of an annual report, and in 2 weeks from now, I may be emailing saying, we got something totally different. We didn't, you think about the sinkhole in Omaha a few weeks ago, we could have something totally different that we're not prepared for. We had a sinkhole 5 years ago at Central Elementary School, So,
Lost a mower into it.
yeah, so, but we think we're pretty inclusive. I feel like we're in very good shape around the district. When we can get the improvements made to get this building. I promised Mr. Norgard our kids would go to school in a dry building at the junior high, and they would have heat and air. And so when we get a new roof that leaks really bad and we get the HVAC up to date, it'll buy us some time for whatever the future holds of this building.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff. Next on the agenda is a programs committee report. You're gonna lead us off on that, is that right?
I'm going to start off on that with you guys helping to fill in any of the gaps. We started that off. The bulk of that meeting was spent discussing grading scales. As you know, during the course of this year, we've talked quite a bit about changing the high school grading scale, and that probably trickles down a little bit to the junior high decisions made, because they'll want to fall in line with any changes that are made. So we start off discussing just the different types of grading scales that are out there. We had some presentations on that already. We wanted to review that before we got into the bulk work of the meeting. Then we sent out some information documents, some documents to get input from teachers. I think I shared that with you guys last month, or we asked the teachers. We read through every single comment, each member of the committee, so they had an opportunity to read what the teacher's perspective was on grading and grading scales, what the highlights, what's good, what's bad, what the concerns are, and their predictions on what if we went and did this, or made this change. And through that process, we were able to kind of identify a consensus among the teaching staff, and it's critical that they're on board. The teaching staff really have the loudest voice and what direction this goes, but we have to balance that with what we collected from our stakeholder inputs. We do have obviously some stakeholder input, some of that's been shared during board meetings. We've talked to a few parents here and there across the district at different times, and talked a little bit about that. And so what's the perspective from our parents? So we try to balance those out. What do the parents want versus what the teachers really believe is important? Their concern, obviously, is rigor, making sure that we maintain rigor with our grading scales. We also discussed advanced courses. So as we go through this process, we haven't, nothing was recommended at this point in time. I see that coming at a later date, where the programs committee will make a recommendation for the board to take action on. But one of the things we did discuss is that if there's a change made to our basic grading scale, that there's also a different grading scale currently in place that involves advanced and AP courses. That's a little different. That's on a 10-point scale. And that they wanted that to reflect any changes that we made in our traditional regular classroom grading scale. So if we went to pluses in our regular grading scale, we'd want to add pluses to that AP and advanced course grading scale. We discussed that. And we also agreed to meet again on this topic. We don't feel like we're ready again, like I said, to make a recommendation. We need to continue getting some input and have further discussions down the road. I do think that it's likely that you'll see a recommendation come from the programs committee probably before the June board meeting, so as an action item for any changes to that grading scale. So that would be, I suppose, a good timeline, giving us July in case something pops up. Because if we do make a change, which I kind of see on the horizon, we want to do that before the new school year starts, and we don't want to surprise anybody with it. We want to communicate that with our community. The next thing we talked about was our science courses. There's a science course that we'd like to add. Actually, there was a couple of science courses we'd like to add, or that the teaching staff brought forth to the administration. So we brought it to programs. The first one's a forensics class, and then we talked a little bit about that great class, great in-depth thinking, critical thinking course. There's chemistry involved with that. There's analysis, there's statistics involved with that. But we need to be careful that we're not trying to encourage this necessarily as an occupation or a career field. It might be something somebody wants to do, but we understand it's pretty competitive field. Also a class that's focused specifically on research. And that would be a high-level class, or it could be like an advanced course for kids where they're really going to do in-depth research projects. As you know, the scientific theory is critical because it is based on conceptual thinking and the development of our cognitive abilities. It's trying to make us deeper thinkers, and it would be a very rigorous course. And so both of those, the programs committee said, yeah, let's do those. They both sound like great additions to our programming at the high school. Now, anything we add, we need to understand that we need to be able to fit it into our schedule. And while we see that that's possible right now, there might be years where you have big groups of kids that come through and you kind of have to offer that biology course or that earth science course. So one of these might disappear for a semester here or there. But when we have the opportunity to provide those learning experiences to our kids, we wanted to put them on our schedule. And then also we talked about the addition of an English course. And this one is a literature course. Now we've had a literature course in the past, but this one, so we're kind of maybe bringing something back from the past. The difference would be that it would be a dual credit course. We have, again, the time in our schedule. We have the teacher with the right credentials to teach it. And how can you say no to a literature course, right? I mean, that's right. If you believe kids should be high-level readers and writers, literature is right up your alley. When we talk about literacy, the state of Nebraska has targeted literacy across K-12. It's not just third grade, it's K-12. They want our kids to develop their literacy skill sets. Well, this is absolutely something that's going to do that. Again, while we talked about research in science, we talked about forensics in science, both force our kids to think conceptually. So does literature, because that's when you get into those deep discussions about the meaning that the author had. We talk about symbolic writing, we talk about metaphors, analogies, all those types of things, and get our kids to think deeply and to discuss it and write deeply about it. So we really see that this fits into our programming right now. Again, it's subject to the same conditions that our science courses are subject to. As long as we have the room in our schedule to offer it to our students, it'll be there. Again, there might be times when it might disappear. With it being dual credit, we're going to work really hard to protect it because we want to offer our kids as many dual credit opportunities as we possibly can. But I think, so I think it's a quality program, quality course, and so did the programs committee, and that was approved. So we look at adding those to our schedule for the 26-27 school year. And that is gonna be my summary of our meeting. What did I miss?
I don't think you missed much of anything other than we would like to thank the teachers who brought these three courses forward, and it seems like they've done their homework, and they will be very good classes for our students. So.
Thank you. And the one thing on those grading scales, the programs committee did look at multiple different grading scales, and the teachers did as well, and they kind of gave evaluations of those, so I think that's important with their input. Kind of gave the programs committee pretty good direction.
Could we, go ahead.
Like I said, I like how much depth you guys put into it with the teacher's perspective, and everybody looks at it differently, and they're limited every day. And what's good, what's bad, I mean, what's good for additional scholarships, clear at the top end is one thing, but it's also if you need to take a look at those mid-level grades to challenge students to maintain those higher grades, otherwise you lower the bar at one time. So I think you're really looking at a whole balanced approach. I mean, I obviously want them to have the most competitive GPAs in a scholarship standpoint, but you're also looking at the other people that may not be shooting for the scholarships, but if you lower their expectations, you may lower them.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. The teachers did do research on it. They did look into it deeply, as well as our administrators. And there is a balance that you need to strike between GPA and rigor, because the research points to the easier it is to pass, the lower your performance scores on achievement tests. So there's a direct correlation. So that balance is something we need to strike.
Could I ask a question? So you said it'll probably be for June?
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, that's what I see right now.
Sure. Will we be able to see the rest of this in our program? We'll see the feedback from teachers and administrators.
Yeah, I can give that back. I can make that.
I'd just be interested in seeing
Absolutely.
that.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll go on to the next. Thank you, Mr. Porter. We'll go on to the next agenda item, which is the superintendent's report.
All right, keep going here. I'm going to try to keep this brief. I know I can use a lot of time. Of course, we don't want to be here all night. So school improvements, what I'll start with, pretty important. We're going to have an action item later on in our agenda concerning school improvement goals. But just a little recap, I'm not going to read through my entire report here, but some bullet points. McCook Public Schools is implementing a multi-year school improvement effort focused on strengthening classroom instruction, improving student performance. The first district goal is increasing the percentage of students meeting and exceeding reading proficiency, and literacy work is grounded in the science of reading, supported by ongoing professional development and instructional coaching. The second goal is going to be on improving mathematics achievement, especially in foundational skills, one-step problem solving, and early pre-algebraic reasoning. The process is guided by a comprehensive instructional program that prioritizes strong tier 1 instruction and uses multiple data sources to guide continuous improvement. So those two goals are written in the action item later in the agenda. You can read through those. I believe I presented them last month as an initial introduction. The language in that really hasn't changed. So it's the same language that we introduced last month. Student support, next item I'm going to talk about student support for PLCs, SAT teams, and PRTI processes. I wanted to give you some information about how we help and support students when they need extra support. They might take an assessment and they're not achieving mastery. So what we have, that there's sort of levels or steps to our interventions. First starts with PLCs. They conduct structured data cycles every 4 to 6 weeks to review assessments, regroup students, and plan interventions. Interventions are timely, systematic, and documented, including targeted skills, strategy used, duration, the evidence of student growth. So once you identify a student, you implement an intervention, then you measure the impact of the intervention. PLC teams maintain ownership of essential learning by identifying which students have mastered standards and which need additional support. Students who do not respond to supplemental interventions are referred to a SAT team or a PRTI team for deeper problem solving. So your PLC team is going to be at your grade level. The SAT or PRTI team is members of the staff from across the building. It would include administration, it might include your counselor, the school psychologist might be part of that. and they work then to try to identify a program for supporting that student. The system ensures coordinated monitoring of academic attendance and behavioral factors to support student success. So then they would come up with a strategy to implement for that student, and then they would measure that. So once you get to that next level, you can bring in, PLC team's going to work within the teachers in that team. Once you get to a SAT team, then everybody is accessible. There might be a teacher on staff or a person or a member of the staff who has a specific skill set. You can bring in them and provide support. You might have the school site do an evaluation and provide recommendations. So the goal is to provide interventions and support to students before they fall too far behind, right? So that's sort of the goal with this process. And then the next step with that is if those interventions aren't really working the way you want to, you might start talking about special education supports. And then that's another level of supports we provide our students. A little bit of a legislation update, LB 1050. I've talked a little bit about this in the past. I've sent out communications. The purpose of this is a mandatory retention for third grade students who demonstrated persistent reading deficiency with limited exceptions. So there'll be a test at third grade. If a student doesn't demonstrate proficiency on that test in third grade, they will be retained in third grade according to the language as it is written at this time. The bill will require expanded literacy interventions for those students, progress monitoring for those students, and summer programming and additional staffing. That's probably important. Additional staffing requires additional expense. This creates a new programming and fiscal responsibility for school districts. Now there are some exceptions, but there are specific requirements within those exceptions that a student would need to meet to go into fourth grade, even if they fail that third grade reading assessment, that literacy assessment. But there are very small exceptions to that. And one of the exceptions is they've already been retained. So just want to give you a heads up that is still in the state legislature and they haven't changed the language yet.
It's an interesting caveat you've got here. The bill assumes districts can absorb or reallocate resources to meet these requirements.
So once a student's retained, then they're to be put into they're expected to have all these extra services and be put into a smaller class. So that impacts every student. If you don't expand your staff, that impacts every student in that grade, in third grade. And so it's just something to think about. And also, there's a lot of research out there that is being ignored concerning retention based on this measure. And so one of the concerns that we have, I believe there's a chance, I've talked with folks that have some say on this legislation, and it sounds like they might be adding some language to it that'll open up the doors for more or wider exceptions, which are probably livable, but they're not in there yet. I hope those exceptions come to fruition, but I have no guarantees on it.
You mean more realistic?
At least I think the exception, the language could change to provide parents more authority over the decision making. The schools might still be by state statute required to retain a student, but there might be sort of a veto vote by a parent. That's not in there right now, though. So either the bill needs to be reworked completely, or there needs to be some additions made to it. Otherwise, this could get very stressful for some kids and families, and expensive for some school districts. And I'm not even necessarily a never retain type of educator, but this isn't necessarily following in line with what research says about who should or should not be retained. It's sort of a blanket approach.
They haven't even discussed or talked about the assessment.
Yeah.
The current assessment,
Yeah.
the NISA assessment that we do would not function its capacity, and there's no money to develop a new assessment. So.
I think it's really important to understand that I didn't believe at first that they were really going to use the state reading assessment, because it's not a reading proficiency assessment. They give you a reading proficiency, they give you a proficiency score, but it's not on reading proficiency, it's on English language arts proficiency, which is very different. Reading is a subcategory, right, of literacy. It's not writing, it's not speaking, it's just the reading piece of it. We don't have an assessment identified for that. So if they use the state assessment, which I'm not sure that's their plan, I don't know necessarily what their plan is, then that's not an appropriate assessment for reading proficiency. Does that make sense? So they would either have to identify one if the bill, after the bill passes, if it passed, and it would have to be something that would be brand new to our kids, because we don't know what it is. And they're actually, the State Department of Ed's making this change to a different type of assessment, a progress monitoring assessment. I don't know if that would be usable or not. That would be, they'll have some psychometrician make that decision. It won't be made by superintendents or administrators or teachers across the state. One more bill that I wanted to talk about. This is a critical bill for public education and municipalities, cities and counties. It's LB 1219. This proposes limits on property tax levy growth for political subdivisions based on a 2% baseline plus real growth. The combination of these bills plus may increase district responsibilities while simultaneously limiting local fiscal flexibility. So that 2%, it's just important to understand if LB 1219 passes in its current form, you have a 2% growth baseline. That's where you're set at. The only way to go above 2% is through actual or real growth. That means new construction. And so I don't want to get too deep into the weeds. I just want you to know about these bills, and that one limits spending where 1050 would force you to spend more. So there's just sort of a conflict between the two bills that I thought was interesting. I don't know what legs 1219 has in its current form. I don't believe that it's going to go anywhere, but I could see that some modifications would be made, maybe a % baseline increase. There's a lot of, there are a lot of concerns with caps. We have, how many caps, I don't put you on the spot, Jeff, how many caps do we have right now? 5? I don't know.
Yeah. So
We have multiple caps on budget
property,
growth, right?
a budget cap, a property tax authority cap, we have a mill levy cap. So yeah, they just keep
With multiple caps already, so this would be another one, but this would be probably the most significant when it comes to our ability to fully fund the programs that we currently offer, let alone programs they want us to add. I'm not going on.
And I don't want to get in the weeds either on it, but I did attend a couple of weeks ago. I was with the governor and several senators and all these rural schools. And there's a lot of concern with this bill, especially from the rural area, because real growth is very small. And I know, for example, we don't just operate in Red Willow. We have Hayes, Hitchcock, and Frontier. And in the last 4 years, we've experienced zero real growth in any of our neighboring counties. So they would be capped at 2, whereas we've experienced anywhere from 0.7 to 1.1 in real growth. So if it was the high end 1.1, we'd be at 3.1%. If we were little growth, it'd be at 2.7 as far as capping your property taxes. This would, in essence, do away with the pink postcard because you couldn't go above it without a vote of the people. And
It locks you down.
And if state aid would drop dramatically, you'd have no ability to recoup that.
Yeah, that's what I again, we're not going to talk about this much more than I wanted to, but that always exists, right? So if state aid drops, it's going to cause some issues if you're locking at 2% on the growth. So if you get cut by $1 million, where do you go to make up that $1 million? So maybe you can't apply it. Unless they make caveats in the bill so that you can put that into your levies. But it's not there as I understand it right now. Again, I'm also not an expert on the bill, but there is some concern over it. But you just need to be aware. And I'm going to finish up. If there's any other questions on anything that I spoke about, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Norgard. Next on the agenda is our business manager report.
We served 14,005 meals in the month of February. Financials, after 50% of the fiscal year, our revenue finally jumped. I kept telling you it would, but it went to 55%, so we're running really well there. Our year-to-date expenses is at 51%. Those are general funds, so budget looks good. All funds, year-to-date revenue is 54, year-to-date expenses is 52. Facilities already did the updates. Current financial projects will be later. I'm going to ask you to approve an independent auditor contract. That's my report.
Any questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Gross. Hearing none, we'll move to the next agenda item, which is board comments. Mike, do you have any comments?
No comment.
Amanda?
No.
Scott?
No.
I do not. Jesse? All right. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is accept resignations. Looking for a motion for the resignation of Jacob Obrecht, junior high and senior high band teacher.
I'll move to accept the resignation of Jacob Obrecht, junior and senior high school band teacher.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Jacob's done a really nice job for us. He's been with us for a year and a half. He did a really good job, but he wanted to get a little closer to family and maybe, you know, other relationships, maybe his girlfriend or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But he took a position with the school district closer to where he's from. So we wish Jacob well.
Yeah, and I just would say that Jacob's been very helpful in the search for his replacement. He's provided us with several names of people to talk to, so.
Yeah, which is great.
Very appreciative of that.
Nice. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Gross?
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Amanda Burr.
Yes.
Jesse Juniman.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes. Motion approved. Next on the agenda is to approve the resignation of Laura Noakes, public schools resource teacher. I'm looking for a motion.
I move to accept the resignation of Laura Noakes from the Cook Public Schools resource teacher.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
I really appreciate the work that Laura's done with us over the last 27 years. She's filled multiple roles in the school district. Most recently, and for I think over a decade, Laura has been working with St. Pat students as a special education teacher and as a Title I teacher. What'd you say, it's about a decade? And prior to that, she was at McCook Elementary School. She's taken a new position with Southwest, and we're very excited that she's going over there, and she's excited about the new opportunity.
Nice. Wish them both well. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Gross?
Amanda Burr.
Yes.
Jesse Juniman.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is approve a contract for Katie Taylor. She'll be a senior high special education teacher.
I'll move to approve the contract for Katie Taylor, senior high school education teacher.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
This is a unique position that we're bringing on board. Katie Taylor is being offered a contract. She's going to come in and work with us, but she's also going to be finishing her college at the same time. She's going to be working as a teacher and as a student teacher experience. We have supervisors lined up for to help her and support her in that process. Excited about, she's a McCook graduate. We're really excited about
See that, bring it back home.
Yeah, we're excited to bring her back home, and we just feel she's going to did great in our interview process. Great references, great kid, and we're excited that she's coming back to McCook. And we need some supports.
She had a very high level of excitement for this opportunity, and she just wants to get here and start working with kids and helping and making a difference. I think we're really excited about this opportunity.
Great.
I think
And
she's, go ahead.
Their special education teachers are really, really hard to find. We've had some good fortune lately of getting in some student teachers that are getting special education endorsements. We actually have another one in the district right now that's getting special education, so we're really fortunate in that fact. But we're always excited to bring these kids home.
I just think, I've known her for a lot of years, and high character, high quality, and then just like we're losing people that want to get closer to home.
Yeah.
She checks all the boxes, and there's family here. So not that, I think checking all the boxes matters first, But if she could do that and have a lot of family ties here, it reduces the want to get closer to the bank.
Yeah, my commentary on that is McCook students make great teachers. That's my experience.
Exciting. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Gross?
Jesse June.
Yes.
Michael Emmett.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barger.
Yes.
Amanda Burr.
Yes.
Motion approved. Welcome to Katie. Next on the agenda is to approve a NOR trip. I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve the NOR trip for the summer of 2027.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Also,
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I mean, we had the presentation earlier and it was highly successful for our students last year to go. And so obviously they're getting after their fundraising, and I'm sure there's lots of excitement for
Like a pottery. They'll finish it up.
Nice. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Gross?
Michael Emmett.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barger.
Yes.
Amanda Burr.
Yes.
Jesse June.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is to approve a 3-year contract with Clifton Larson Allen LLP CPA firm for our audits. Looking for a motion.
I move to approve a 3-year contract with Clifton Larson Allen LLP, CPA for professional audit services in partnership with KSO CPA.
We have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I know Mr. Gross has talked to us about this a few times over the last 6 months.
So I opened up an RFP and reached out to probably 50 to 60% of the auditors that do school audits in the state of Nebraska, and this is our bid. So from Omaha to Scotts Bluff and everybody in between.
From Omaha, where's this group from?
This group is out of Colorado, out of
Yep. So
Denver
from
area.
Omaha to Denver.
This group is highly recommended from Gary Public Schools, their business official, to me. I've done some background. One of the reasons that I was very excited about working with this group is KSO, our current CPAs, would like to stay on in a capacity with us and be a partner, just not do the on-site audit. And this group was willing to oblige by that. So this is a 3-year contract with Clifton Larson. It can be converted at any time for them to do the entire audit, but as long as KSO is willing to do their end of things, they'll stay on board. And so if we approve this 3 years, we're locking in with these guys. Their pricing structure is 22.5 year 1, 23.5 year 2, 24.5 year 3. With KSO doing their end, KSO is looking at around 18 to 20,000 a year on their end. Currently, we're paying a little over 40 for our audit right now. If KSO would go away, these guys' prices are 40, 42, and 44. So they're in the price range as to what we're having to pay right now. So,
And I'm gonna give a little bit of commentary on this as well. So since I started in McCook, the price in 16 years, the price for an audit has quadrupled. And also I think it's important to note, the reason for that isn't that schools are spending more money or schools are doing something different. It's because of regulations that have come from both the state and federal levels. What they audit today versus what they audited 12, 15 years ago has quadrupled the amount of what they look at. They made this comment multiple times, but they even go to make sure that when we take attendance on the day that they're here, they'll go to a classroom and count to make sure the number we put in our attendance record is the actual number of students in that classroom. That's how specific it's gotten, that they feel, someone feels, that they need to even audit our attendance.
and I'll add to that, if they're being reimbursed, if we're being reimbursed off of a special education bus, they pull the VIN number that I've submitted to them, and I have to take them to the bus barn and check the VIN number and assure that that's the correct model. So,
That's just a
I've
lot
talked
more
to,
money.
I've talked to a lot of accountants and local accountants that I'm friends with and people in the region. And very few of them do school audits because it's become so.
Well, that's why we're looking for a new auditor right now. It's because the company we had been working with for 16, 20 plus years don't want to do school audits anymore. They're just too labor intensive. Nothing else is like it.
Well, when you read the page after page after page of proposal, I mean, I felt really good about them. Obviously, they're the only one, but it was nice to be able to go through all that, so.
I feel
Nice to lock them down for 3 years.
I'm glad we have a 3-year.
Yeah.
Yeah, big
Right,
check
right,
balance.
for sure.
Just have a 1-year rollover every year, get an extra year.
Because it was, I'm just gonna tell you, this is my 5th year as a business official, and it was $19,000 my first year.
So in 5 years, it's still.
Yeah, and that don't include.
When
the
I came,
federal
it was like,
portion.
it was $11,000.
I think this year, with the federal portion, it was right at 49,000.
Yeah, 15 years ago, it was 11,000. Anyway.
Any more discussion?
We don't get a choice.
Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Gross?
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Amanda Burr.
Yes.
Jesse Juno.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is a cooperative sponsorship for swim and dive with Hitchcock County School District. I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve the co-op swim dive agreement with Southwest Schools and Hitchcock County Schools to join the Cook Public Schools swim dive team.
We already have a current.
Oh, gotcha,
We're just
gotcha.
adding to
Adding.
it.
Gotcha.
Is it, you had Medicine Valley
We have a
Medicine Valley is, we've always had it with Southwest and Med Valley the last couple of years. Med Valley is not continuing it, but Hitchcock County would like to. So it's altering the co-op we currently have to include Hitchcock.
Okay, so we have a motion. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. We just had some discussion. Is there any more?
Just so you know, gives an opportunity for kids in the area to compete with us. It actually helps our swim team, gives us a few more kids to compete with. Even during practice, you're competing against your peers. We are Class A in swim, so adding more kids doesn't change our classification. So it's just a win-win for kids and a win for public schools. So,
And Hitchcock County is responsible for getting their students to practice.
Right.
So, and after a meet, they're responsible to get them back to Hitchcock County.
we'll give them a cook, but.
So they have some financial skin in the game as well. It's not just all taken by Cook Public Schools. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Gross?
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Amanda Burr.
Yes.
Jesse Juno.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes. Motion approved. Next on the agenda is to accept a donation from Inwood Bank for the Bison Debit Card Program. I'm looking for a motion.
I move to accept a donation from M&B Bank from the Bison Debit Card Program in the amount of $1,359.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Other than definitely another thank you to M&B. That's very generous. We have, I don't know what the total accumulation is, but it's well over $15,000 or $20,000, I believe.
It's very significant.
It's been really good for public schools. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Gross?
Amanda Burr.
Yes.
Jesse Juno.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is to approve the 26-27 school calendar. I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve the 2026, 2027 school calendar.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'd second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
I'll just say it's very similar to this year's calendar. The one change or significant change would be that Christmas break. There's more days actually after Christmas break than there are before, which this calendar year we had several, maybe close to 5 days, 6 days before Christmas hit, just based on where Christmas hits in the week. We're actually gonna come to school the Monday and Tuesday of the week before Christmas versus getting off on Friday. But then on the flip side, we come back a little bit later in January than we did this year. The length of the break is the same, it's just how the days work out is a little different. And that's what happens with the calendar when as Christmas moves through the week. So, and then we get out about, I think, about the same day. We start the 14th. It's really close to this year's calendar. And we have district music next year, so that's a day off a day where we host it at the high school and junior high, where most of our students won't be in attendance. And that'll be this next year's calendar and the following year, so 27, 28.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Gross?
Jesse Juneman.
Yes.
Mike Lane.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Parker.
Yes.
Amanda Burr.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is to approve reading and math school improvement goals. I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve the reading and math school improvement goals as presented.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
I mentioned this during my report, and we've been working on this since before students attended class. We started this process in August before the kids arrived. Here are the two goals, and I'll read them. Reading. Over the next 5 years, the district will increase the percentage of students meeting or exceeding grade level reading proficiency by strengthening literacy skill development and improving the quality and consistency of reading instruction across all grade levels. And our second goal, math. Over the next 5 years, the district will improve student mathematics achievement by strengthening pre-algebraic skills with a specific emphasis on one-step problem solving across grade levels. That's all grade levels. So those are the two goals.
Very good. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Gross?
Mike Lane.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Parker.
Yes.
Amanda Burr.
Yes.
Jesse Juneman.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is positive comments. We'll start with Quinn.
One of mine would be the plan for the school improvements in all the schools, those sound great. And then I'd like to say congratulations to the FFA state qualifiers.
Thank you. Jesse?
I think the Nord trip sounds awesome. I wish I could go. It's impressive that they could, raise that much money. It probably takes a lot of work to get that done. And then the FFA is also, those two gentlemen were very impressive. To come out of school with as much maturity as those two probably have right now is impressive. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Scott? Yeah, just to piggyback off that, it's interesting you said it, because I'm pretty sure Bryce has presented almost every year since I've been on the board, and so it's been fun to watch his progression, right? And the long way too, right? And they both did a really good job, but it's just been fun to think back on that. I've got two other ones. Facilities, I just want to say I appreciate Mr. Gross and Mr. Miller's time with that. You don't recognize how big a deal that is until you sit in a meeting for 2 hours and go through 3 pages of everything and anything under the sun. So I appreciate all the work that you guys put into that, preparing us for that. And then finally, obviously a lot of you got to go this morning. Lynn King will be deeply missed. There were kids that got to stand up and talk about how she affected their lives, and it's great to see that somebody can have that big of an impact on that many people. So she will be very missed.
I was also going to touch on the FFA thing, that seems like everyone else did, so, but I do think that's awesome to have over 30 qualifiers for state, that's great. And I also want to thank the Cook Elementary for letting the YMCA do the school's day out there again last week. It's nice for them to have a place to go during construction. And then I also want to talk about wrestling and not state basketball, but the basketball team had a great season and they were fun to watch, so I enjoyed that, and congratulations to the wrestlers that made it to state just in that place, so it's awesome.
Ditto's on that.
I took
That's
it
good. That's good. But the wrestling, basketball, and FFA, probably the notes on the improvements. We're keeping the school, keeping it sharp. We're staying within our boundaries. I know we don't want to spend a lot here, but we've got to keep it livable. And I think you guys are making good decisions on that, to do that. And, you know, we'll get to a point where we'll see what happens, but those are big things, and I just see improvements going on all the time. The YMCA's come along, I go pretty close to a pool, and once that, I joined there again, and it's good to see all that stuff happening, and it's gonna be a difference maker. And we just have that advantage, and then the other side of it is we can offer swimming and diving to Hitchcock and Southwest students, and that's just opens up a whole new world for them. As with the NOR, I mean, that, you know, I did a thing back when I was in college with the university, we went out to Baca, or on the Baja Peninsula on this side, not the other side, but we stayed on the beach too, and it was a little rough when I watched out for scorpions. But this deal at Rotan is that's the real deal. I mean, I've seen their thing with turtles and research and what they're doing, and it's very, very, very safe. And it's just with a very tropical, I guess, climate, you're going to see a lot of stuff.
Thank you. Jeff?
This morning was tough, but I would say that my positive comment is to celebrate Lynn Kenny. Lynn Kenny was a fierce advocate for kids, for special needs population. That was evident by today. Anybody that worked with her, I had the joy of working with this lady for 25 years. And she was a loyalist. She believed in McCook Public Schools, and she was great for kids. She was a great cook. She was a great, if you were there today, the impact of her family on her family life and the impact she left on all the staff and all the kids is immense. So it's easy, you know, I can break down and cry, but it's easy. Let's celebrate this great lady, Lynn Kenny, that brought so much to our school system, our community, and most importantly, our family in this tough time. So kudos to them.
Thank you. My positive is I was lucky enough to meet a future McCook Public Schools student this weekend, that being my first grandchild, and Sienna Hazel Fesslin. So let's hope she's a graduate of McCook High maybe 18 years from now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mr. Norman.
I want to comment. I did comment on this a little bit earlier. I had the opportunity to go to the jacket ceremony that was put on by the FFA. So what you saw a little display of the level of professionalism and competence and confidence that our FFA students in this room earlier today. But I want to tell you, all those officers demonstrated that same level of competence and confidence in their speaking ability. They knew what they do. They knew what their role was, and they fulfilled it wonderfully. And then to see our freshmen come up, those that were receiving their blue jackets and being recognized for the work that they've done and memorizing their creed and saying the creed for everyone that was in attendance, it was wonderful. And so I really appreciated the opportunity to see them and to see our kids really and be impressive. And so if you have an opportunity, go check that out sometime. You'll be impressed, I assure you. And that's all. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is adjournment, and we are adjourned.